talking about taking a car to Japan or getting a car there and all that stuff. So, I've got some more information, and it is wild how far in you have to go to get this information, because Google is not going to do it. If you're trying to temporarily export a car to Japan, you will not find anything useful directly on Google. Most of the stuff you'll find will be people asking about that process, and then other idiots just telling them to rent a car in Japan. Gee, why didn't I think of that? So anyway, the carnet. So the carnet de passage en douane. That is so the price of that is a lot higher than what I saw on a Google search. Now, Google, the number you'll see is $400. Now, that is a number related to the carnet, but that's not the cost of the carnet. The carnet has two prices. Either you will spend $4,700 or you will spend $6,400. Now, if in total, so the carnet itself is something that you have while you're doing your temporary export, and you send it back when you're done, and you get a refund of the actual price of the carnet based on what you paid up front. So if you spent the $6,400, you'll get 100% of the carnet back, and everything else that you have spent in that number will be $1,500. So, you will be, the total that you will have spent is the $1,500, which are, all these other fees related to the carnet and whatnot. Now, if you spend the $4,700 up front, the total that you are spending, you're still spending at $1,500. And when you send it back, you get 80% of what the carnet costs. So the total that you will be spending there will be $2,100. So you spend less up front, you will end up with a higher amount paid to them at the end of that process. Now, the $400 number comes from the amount that you get charged if you don't send the carnet back. Then they charge you $400. So that's that, and that information's not even just plainly out there. Now, the CPD, the carnet, does it give you, does it keep you from having to pass the Shaken in Japan, or no? That is also information that is not 100% reliable, because it tells you no, so you think that's it, and then there's something saying, oh yes, you don't have to pay, or you don't have to do Shaken if you in fact bring your car in on a CPD. So which one is true? Because Google, unfortunately, Google has those ridiculous AI overviews, and the AI overview is going to tell you one of those answers just simply based on, whatever comes up. Now, if I search, does a car that's having a carnet keep you, or, does it exempt you from having to do that, then everything will say yes. And then if you word it differently, then it'll be, say no. So I'm not even 100% sure. But the thing is, somebody has to have done that process at some point in time, yet no one seems to have ever chronicled the whole thing, or any of it at all. So that information is just not out there to easily glean from Google. So it sucks. It sucks. It sucks a fucking lot. And, it makes the Google food pretty fucking useless. Very there's still an issue with the JCI, Japanese compulsory insurance, which you need in order to be able to drive a car. And that in itself is weird, because if you rent a car in Japan, you don't need JCI to do that, unless JCI works, in some other way, such as, it may be that the car that you rent is covered by JCI no matter what, as long as the company has that policy. It's just that you, as a renter, if you don't choose to be covered, then you specifically are just not covered for anything that happens out there. But other than that, are you in fact covered by JCI? Yes or no? You don't know. Now, trying to get JCI, that's also something where it's like the information on how to do that, or if it's even possible, is just not there, as a tourist. So if someone's brought a car in on a carnet, how the fuck do they insure the car? Google sure will not tell you how to do that. I mean, there's companies out there, you can look at Sony Sanpo, or no, Sony Sanpo, and then a different company called Sampo. And then you have, Tokyo Marine? Those are the biggest ones that I know of that do insurance, but you can't just get insurance. You can get a quote, but it doesn't mean anything, because even when you are filling out the information on the quote, it's going to ask you your license color, which means, it's only considering Japanese license. And I reached out to a company, I forgot what it was called, but I emailed them, said, can I get, JCI on a temporary, for temporary export? Sorry, we can't help you with that situation. So what the fuck are you supposed to do? And, you can't really ask on Reddit, because if anybody does know, which I mean, I doubt they would. If you haven't tried to take a car there temporarily, then you're not going to have anything that's going to help. But, of course, those type of people, they will say, you should just rent a car. Yeah, rent a car. Because when you see somebody asking that question, that's what they say. So pretty useless, all in all. Very, very fucking useless. Now, there is something that, Google Food will tell you that you can't do, but you apparently can do it, because there's articles about Japan specifically trying to curb this, which they'll be doing in October, and that is converting your license to a Japanese license as a tourist. And Google Food will tell you that you cannot do this. However, you definitely can do this, because if you couldn't, they wouldn't be trying to take it away as a thing that you can do. And apparently 69,000 people did it last year. So, yeah, it's definitely a thing. And, it would be very easy. And, I actually thought about doing it the last time I was there, but I thought about doing it for shits and giggles. I didn't know that it was actually something that could be done, because I'd read that you cannot do it. So I didn't bother doing it when I was there. But apparently, the idea that I had is literally how you do it. You just use the address of wherever you're staying, hotel, Airbnb, whatever. You just use that address, and then even on a tourist visa, you can convert the license to the Japanese one. And I also, there are a very limited number of countries that, if you're from these countries, Japan allows you to do it without any, no tests, just straight over swap the license. And in the US, it is not the whole country, unfortunately, if you care. But there are actually a few states that specifically will allow you to do that. And I happen to live in one of those states, probably because we have a Japanese auto manufacturer here. I would imagine that is the reason for it. So I'm possibly thinking of going to Japan before the trip. You know, the trip's October. I'm thinking of going in August, or not August, but September. Because I actually did see about getting a week in August off, but I have to renew my car tags before I switch the license, because you know that I probably won't be able to do it after I convert my license. Like, if I convert this license, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. So I got to do it now, and then next year I'll deal with it. You know, I mean, if they tell me I can't do it on the Japanese license at that time, I'll tell them, you know, I'll do the American license again, but I'm keeping mine. I'm keeping this one. Because, I mean, and it's crazy that I found out that you can do it by the fact that there's articles stating that they are trying to curb people from actually doing it. And I'm like, man, I had the literal idea, like the exact idea. So I should have done it. Especially because, you know, I knew already, like I've known for a long time that this state has that agreement with Japan, because it wasn't even always like this. I'm pretty sure like it was more recent compared to the other states. It might be like the latest state to have that. So yeah, but it's a thing, and I'm thinking that if I get that, it could help me get the JCI. And you know, it's probably the same thing. Like, if I have that Japanese license in hand, and I can just say that I live in this place, wherever this Airbnb is or whatever, they'll probably give me the fucking insurance. And then I can drive the car without any issues, which will be fucking amazing. And then, you know, of course, if I get pulled over, that is gonna be a hell of a time. They're gonna be like, wait a minute. Mate. So, yeah, but I'm definitely thinking about doing it. Like, you know, I can maneuver these flight points around to try to get that flight for free. I'll just have to, you know, pay to stay somewhere, and I'll have to see how long that process is. Like, if anybody's done it from a place that doesn't have to go through anything, can I just make an appointment that day? You know, can I make an appointment for a day, like on a day, and then be in and out with that license, since I don't have to, you know, like do any tests or what? So I gotta try to figure that stuff out, and then yeah. So yeah, it's a little convoluted. This whole thing is a little convoluted, I would say. And with that, I think I'm gonna end this particular video. Nothing further to talk about until I've made some actual moves on things, like getting the car ready. Because it's like, I don't want to spend the money to get the car ready if I can't drive the car over there. Because, you know, in addition to getting the carnet and shipping the car, and, you know, getting the insurance, it's like I still have to do some things to clean the car up. I still got to get a windshield. I still got to get a speaker for the door, at least. I still got to, you know, like, I still have things to do. Yeah, I still have things to do, like get the tires put on, get my calipers repainted, because they've started chipping. which, you know, I wouldn't have painted them if they weren't already red when I bought the car. And red calipers, just fucking no. Nope, not at all, not even once. So, yeah, we'll see. So that'll be it for this video. Bye for now.